Okay, so today we're taking a deep dive into this phrase that's been making the rounds, coding is dead.
Right.
And we've got this really interesting article that kind of breaks down who's actually saying that
Yeah.
and what it means for, how software actually gets built.
hmm
Um, and I guess the goal is to, you know, really cut through the hype and get to the bottom of what this claim actually means for all of us, right?
Absolutely. We're going to look at why this idea is gaining traction.
Yeah.
What are the arguments for it, and then what are the arguments against it?
Okay, cool.
The article kind of highlights three different groups of people who are all saying this coding is dead thing.
All right, so let's start with the first group then, the founders of these foundational models, right?
Right.
It seems like when they say coding is dead, it's more than just marketing hype.
Hmm.
The article seems to suggest that it's a core part of how they inspire their teams to
Yeah.
build this revolutionary stuff, right?
Yeah. It's all about belief.
They kind of need that transformational narrative to really drive everything forward.
I think you're exactly right. Like when you're working on something that's pushing the boundaries of what's possible,
Yeah.
having that strong belief in the world-changing impact of what you're doing,
Right.
that's like crucial for motivation,
Yeah,
for pushing through those tough times.
Okay, makes sense. So that's the first group. What about the second group?
So the second group is the founders of these agentic AI tools.
Okay.
These are companies like uh, Loveable, Replit, Hyper, these kinds of companies.
Oh, okay.
And they're coming at this from a totally different perspective.
Right, yeah.
They're at the cutting edge. They're building the tools that could actually automate coding.
So they're seeing it firsthand.
Exactly. They see how AI is becoming more and more capable of handling like more and more of the software development process.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're thinking like, okay, in the future, maybe traditional coding, the manual way of doing things,
Right.
maybe that's not going to be so central anymore.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
And the third group, what about them?
Ah, yes, the influencers.
Influencers.
This is where the article gets a little bit more critical.
Yeah.
It points out that a lot of these influencers, they don't actually have a ton of coding experience themselves.
Oh, interesting.
So they're kind of drawn to this idea of a radical future.
The drama of it all.
Yeah, exactly. But they don't necessarily fully grasp how complex things are right now,
Right.
like how software is actually built and maintained today.
I see. So it's easy to get caught up in the hype without really understanding the nuts and bolts of it all.
Yeah, I think that's a really important point.
Yeah. Okay. So the article lays out those three perspectives, but then it also makes a pretty compelling argument for why developers aren't actually going anywhere.
Right, right.
What's the core of that argument?
Well, the main idea is that automation is going to reshape the field. For sure,
Yeah.
it's going to change things, but it's not going to completely replace developers. It's more likely to augment them, give them new tools.
Yeah.
So we'll probably see things like the automation of repetitive tasks,
Mm-hmm.
which could actually be a good thing because it could lower the learning curve for new developers
Right.
and make existing developers way more productive.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, this is more about empowering developers than replacing them.
And the article talks about, potentially a really big global impact here. It
Yeah.
talks about a leveling of the playing field, right?
Absolutely. And this is what I find really fascinating.
Yeah.
With these advancements, we could see the gap between developers in different parts of the world start to close.
Mm-hmm.
The article even predicts that, in 5 years, the difference between a developer in, say, Pakistan
Right.
and a developer in Silicon Valley, that difference could pretty much disappear.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's a pretty huge shift.
it is. It's huge.
What kind of implications does that have?
Well, we could see a ton of new collaborations.
All of a sudden, there's this massive global pool of talent that everyone has access to.
Right.
It could really change the way we think about building software.
Totally. And the article, it brings in this really philosophical idea too, right?
Yeah.
About the scale of innovation, how vast it all is.
Yeah. It's this mind-blowing concept that the universe of ideas is basically infinite.
Right.
So even when we make these huge technological leaps
Yeah.
in the grand scheme of things, they're actually still pretty small steps.
Right.
There's always going to be something new to discover, new problems to solve.
Okay, so no matter how advanced we get, there's always going to be a need for developers.
Yeah, I
Right?
think so, yeah.
Okay, and the article, it kind of ties all of this back to some fundamental business principles, right?
Yeah.
It mentions Muhammad Ali
Right.
and his ideas about teamwork and anti-fragility.
Mm.
What's the connection there?
Well, I think It's saying that even though technology is changing so rapidly,
Yeah.
those core principles, those fundamentals.
Like strong collaboration,
Right.
the ability to adapt to challenges and even grow stronger because of them. That's what anti-fragility is all about.
Right.
And then really understanding your client's needs.
Yeah.
Those things are always going to be important no matter what the tech landscape looks like.
So even in this world where coding is dead, these principles still hold true.
Absolutely. I think they become even more important.
Okay, so just to wrap everything up,
Yeah.
While this coding is dead thing might grab headlines,
Right.
the reality is more like a big evolution.
I think that's a good way to put it.
Automation is going to change how coding is done, make it more accessible, boost productivity, but it's not the end of developers.
Man.
And a lot of times, this death narrative, it's really serving the needs of the people who are promoting it.
Yeah.
Whether it's to inspire their teams or to market their products.
Exactly.
It's less about an ending and more about a transformation.
Yeah. A transformation of the tools, the landscape,
Yeah. Developers are still essential, but their roles are going to keep changing.
Absolutely. And that's kind of exciting, I think.
Yeah, it is.
Like, who knows what the future holds?
Right.
There are so many possibilities.
And this brings up a question that I want to leave our listeners with.
Okay.
If this playing field really does level out for developers all around the world,
Right.
what kind of crazy new collaborations and innovations are we going to see that we can't even imagine right now?
Oh, that's a great question.
It's something to think about.
It is.
So thank you for diving into this with us, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, bye.